Hi everyone, we're live, and I'm Tessa Virtue. I'm thrilled to be taking over the BonLook's account for the next 30 minutes or so, and I'll have the privilege of interviewing Liz Plank, who has a new collection with BonLook's, and I can't wait to talk about it. We both have worked with the company since 2018. Some of you may know me from my former skating career, but others who are here on this page might know me from my collaboration with BonLook's, which was such a fulfilling venture. Oh, hello, nice to see everyone joining. Write in the comments where you're joining from. I'd love to know. And I'll try and monitor the chat as best I can. Otherwise, this will be archived if you're not able to join live. But I'm so looking forward to connecting with Liz. We had the chance to chat last October, I believe, in 2021. So we'll be able to catch up and hear what she's up to now. I know she has a lot of great new projects on the go. Oh, from Montreal? Great, hello. Oh, hi, Christine. Brazil, amazing. Hi from Toronto. I'm also in Toronto. Nice and sunny out. See if Liz has joined yet. From the Netherlands, oh my goodness, and Italy, wow. Oh, there we go. I'll add her in now. View request. Oh no, there we go. To welcome Liz in now. I think she's coming in from New York. From Greece, amazing.
Hi.
How are you, Liz?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's so nice to see you.
It's so nice to see you too. Where are you in Canada right now?
Yes, I'm in Toronto.
Oh gosh, I feel like you're so close to me somehow. I always do when I talk to you. You have such an amazing warm presence.
I know. Well, I'm thrilled. This has been circle and starred on my calendar for a while now. I've been excited to catch up and hear what you've been up to. How's your summer going?
Oh my God, I'm having a really good summer, which sounds like an oxymoron right now, given everything that's happening. But honestly, I feel really energized. I feel really energized by everyone who's listening right now, all the people around us, all of the women who have been standing up and have been really kind of like, and men, and gender non-binary people, all kinds of people stepping up to the moment, you know, given everything that's happening. You know, you kind of have no choice but to be kind of political right now. And as you know, I'm, you know, whenever people are like, I'm just not a political person, I kind of wish I could be like that. Just like when people say, like, I'm just a chill person. I'm not a chill person. I'm not an apolitical person, but I get excited when I see people really get engaged in their communities. And, you know, it doesn't even have to mean politics, right? It can just mean reaching out to the people around you and making sure that they have what they need. Because, yeah, a lot of people are struggling right now. The world is on fire, literally. So I'm really humbled and happy to see people turn that fear and that anxiety into community.
Well, and all you can do is be you. So, you know,
Yeah.
whatever that means, whatever you're meant to express, I think you have embraced that so beautifully. And I'll say that you've been sort of a beacon of hope and a voice for this generation. You know as I've been emotionally spiraling, particularly in this last month,
Yeah.
you know, into those really dark places with the devastation and the heartache. I mean, even those seem like light words. I found it to be empowering in that there was community, there was empathy, there was support, but most importantly, there were also tactical tools, coping mechanisms, and resources, which was such a gift. So I do hope that you know what you've been able to offer so many, but I imagine that's a heavy burden sometimes for you to carry.
Oh my God, that's so sweet. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, like, I mean, it's part of, you know, the reason why I moved to the States is actually because of reproductive rights. And, you know, my first moment kind of living in the States was almost 10 years ago when I was an intern at a feminist nonprofit. And I remember just being like, whoa, this is like it's like a third world country. Like this is just like the access when it comes to reproductive rights and the attacks on it is just kind of really felt out of this world. It's obviously become way worse. So in a way, I've been kind of bracing for it, you know, for many years. And most of the people in the movement, you know, we've been seeing this coming, which makes it that much more frustrating that we're here. But at the same time, yeah, I feel like people are, I mean, I'm talking to people in Poland. I talked to some amazing doctor in Canada yesterday. Like you know, so many people working, not just building community here in the United States, but also globally, right? This global coalition of people who care about women, of people who care about reproductive rights. I sort of feel like, again, my glass half full, because that's just what my brain tries to do, is that this is a moment that will actually increase access for women to reproductive justice, will increase responsibility from men on these matters, right? That, you know, if you think about, you know, for example, just the surveillance, right, which we should all be worried about, you know, women buying a pregnancy test or women buying Plan B can now be something that's tracked and something that can be used against them. So I'm encouraging men to go buy pregnancy tests, go buy Plan B, obviously have condoms on you, but right, like men should be actually buying those things, not just because, you know, they should be sharing in that reproductive kind of responsibility, but it's actually something very pragmatic that they can do today. So if there's any men who are listening, you know, just do that. Have your emergency sex kit, right? Like just have what you need if you are sexually active. And I think there's pragmatic things that, you know, men can do, that women can do. So I'm really focused on, you know, pointing to those things, and I'm glad that it's, you know, resonating and not, making people just feel like, oh God, I'm just getting more information and it means I'm more scared or more anxious or more depressed. Like the more information you have, the better you should feel. And so that's what I, you know, try and do as much as possible, because that's what I need, you know, that's what I need. I'm freaked out too, you know.
No, we need those takeaways that we feel we can actually implement and execute.
Yeah.
The last time we spoke about gender issues, specifically women's rights, social justice, and, you know, things have certainly evolved really rapidly in a month or so in particular. But I'm wondering how your relationship with social media has evolved and how you've chosen to use your platform during this time. And I'm asking because there are people tuning in who might want to do the same, but just maybe aren't sure where to start.
Yeah, I mean, I would just tell you that, I mean, I really think that everyone underestimates how powerful they are. And everyone underestimates how much influence they have with the people around them, right? Not just with our, you know, government and politicians. Like they work for you. Like these people are paid, their payroll is, you know, is coming from your pocket. And which makes it that much weirder that, you know, they're like, I can't imagine a job where a woman like is being paid to restrict her male coworkers' basic human rights. But I guess if you're a member of Congress, like that's a thing that can happen. There are just like male lawmakers who are out there using the money, you know, taxpayer money, to really imagine new creative ways to strip, again, not just their female coworkers and their wives and their daughters, but just women in general of their human rights. But those people work for you, right? And so you have a lot of power. You have a lot of power when it comes to local elections. There are so many you know, seats right now that are like people who are going to win in the midterms or in local elections because there's no one running against them, right? So there's a lot of energy right now, which I'm seeing on TikTok, which is so exciting, of just people posting saying, okay, in this county, this is the list. If you live in one of those places, you should run because there's, you know, this, you know, conservative or this person who's anti-choice is running unopposed. So running for things and getting involved in your community is huge. And then also, you know, I think that I know I fall in this trap too, where I feel like I need to do something really big. And then unless I've figured out the perfect, big, influential, perfect thing, then it's not worth doing. Or until I figure that out, I'm not going to do anything. And I really try and talk myself out of that place because it just becomes a place of paralysis. And it also is not true, right? The people around you, the people who are your friends, the people who are your family, the people who are your coworkers, your barista, like all of the people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis, whether it's online or in real life, like they care about you. They care about what you think way more than me, like what I think, right? Like some stranger on the internet or some people, you know, some person on television or even an activist that they're, you know, following or watching. So, you know, you really do have a lot of power. You really do have a lot of influence. You know, we call it, I'm already forgetting. It's like not vertical canvassing, but I guess like I don't know, it has it, someone probably in the comments remembers, but it's, you know, sort of a parallel, right, thing, right? Like peer-to-peer canvassing, that you don't have to sign up and do this big thing. I mean, you can also go canvas and do that if you want, but you can really do it in your day-to-day life by just having conversations with people and remembering that it's not in one conversation that you're necessarily going to change their minds. Very often, you know, I know you have this experience too, even like with silly stuff, like with getting my dad to eat like better foods, because he, you know, I was like worried. I wanted him to kind of like become a vegan. Like at the beginning, I was having all this, you know, I felt like in every conversation I needed to change his mind completely. And I got really frustrated. I got really sad. And then over the course of like a few months, I stopped talking about it and I just started noticing that he was making those changes on his own. So, you know, people still think about the things that you say after your conversation is over. So don't underestimate how much power you have.
I love that. Don't underestimate your power. Use your voice. And also, while bold and big actions are great,
yes,
some small steps are equally meaningful.
Exactly. Such a good interviewer. But what about you? What do you think? Have you felt nervous or like, you know, what are your fears when you're thinking about posting about, you know, abortion rights or anything else going on? Is it like a fear that you're going to say something? Because I know a lot of people are like, I'm going to say it the wrong way, right? And I think we have to be really patient with each other. But yeah, I'm just curious how you feel about it.
I think, well, and I had seen this on a conversation in your podcast that you're a co-host on, Man Enough, when you talked about having those conversations, using the words and feeling really comfortable with that open dialogue, even with your immediate circle. Yeah. And so finding comfort in the vocabulary, but also, I mean, we're north of the border and it feels so close. And yet there's a guilt in the things that we have access to. What are the things that we can do to be allies, to support, to be advocates here in Canada, considering, you know, everything that's happening in the States?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, you know, there was this really powerful video that was going around. I think it was women in Norway. It's one of the, I lived in Scandinavia, so I shouldn't mix them up, but maybe it was Denmark. Anyway, it was a country, a very evolved country that's up north, even more north than Canada. And, you know, it was women in that parliament that were just saying, you know, we stand with our sisters in the United States. And I just thought, you know, that was such a you know, there's a reason why it went viral. I think it spoke to a lot of people of, again, this global sort of sisterhood that I think is so crucial. And, you know, we've had in sort of our modern history, we've had moments like that. You know, there was the, you know, big women's conference in the 90s where Hillary Clinton, you know, famously said, you know, women's rights are human rights and human rights are women's rights, right? There were these a lot of coalition building happening between countries. And so again, I think that we're going to see more of this. I was talking to I had like a 2-hour call. Oh my gosh, I couldn't get off the phone with her, with this amazing doctor whose name is Geneviève Bois. And she is in Montreal, and she is one of the, you know, I encourage everyone to look her up, follow her. And she's been quoted in so many different, you know, she's really sort of stuck her neck out in terms of this. And yeah, she told me, you know, there's not yet a lot of women who are, you know, American women who are traveling to Canada. It is a big deal. You need a passport. I think half of Americans don't even have a passport. Obviously, you know, even having a passport costs money and is, you know, a certain subset of a socioeconomic pocket. But at the same time, there's a lot that Canadian women can do to support American women. There's like talking about it. And again, spreading the message about the importance of abortion rights, using the word abortion, saying abortion is normal, abortion is okay, abortion happens in all kinds of different circumstances, and there's not a right reason to have an abortion. There's just the reason, to have an abortion. And, it's also remembering that even in Quebec, for example, abortion pills, which is another thing that I'm encouraging people to just talk about again, because most people don't even know that most abortions actually don't even happen in a clinic anymore. They happen in the comfort of your own home. So women can actually order abortion pills right now, wherever they're living. In Canada, certainly if there's a conservative government or something changes, it might also become more dangerous or harder to, access. But anyone who's living in a red state, who has the means to get the abortion pill, it should be like Tylenol. It should just be something that all women just have in their medicine cabinet, and all men too, by the way. Which is what I'm trying to figure out. How can men, not trying to figure out, I don't want to go to jail. I'm trying to just observe and research ways that men could actually also, get that prescription. Because again, every time that a woman is in a situation where she needs an abortion, there was a guy involved, okay? That is just science. That's just the facts. So I think, again, more men speaking out about this, is so crucial. And again, don't worry about saying the wrong thing or saying the perfect thing. You can just be amplifying or women online. There's an amazing organization called Aid Access that's providing abortion pills to women all over the States. It's an Austrian doctor, actually, and it's a lower cost. But even again, within Quebec and Canada, it's almost $300 to get the abortion pill. So that's a lot of money. Yes, you'll get reimbursed if you're living in Quebec and you have your carte a. But if you're doing it in another province, it's not necessarily possible. And in India, do you know how much the pill is? $1. Right? Even in Europe, it's about $20. So we have to work on access, even within Canada, where things seem pretty good. It's good to have a right, but in order for it to be right, people have to have access to it.
Absolutely. And on that note, I mentioned that you were sort of you were all things for all people. It felt like in these last few weeks, especially with providing those resources. And I'm wondering, when it comes to activists to follow or organizations to donate to, or volunteer, or podcasts to listen to, books, what's on your list right now, and what are the pertinent places of information we need to be consuming from?
Good questions. Aid Access is an amazing organization to, again, follow, support. It's Dr. Gompert. She's this incredible, she's just a badass. There should be a whole Netflix show about her, many Netflix shows about her. So Aid Access. Plan C is a really good organization too. We're actually, trying to also, instead of saying abortion pills, just call it Plan C, because one of the reasons why, everyone knows what Plan B is, right? Everyone kind of knows, it's in the culture, what you kind of know where to get it. You have 24, 72 hours to, and abortion pills are so not in the culture yet. I'm sorry, I sound like I'm so old. In the culture, in sort of the mainstream, right, language. And so even using the word Plan C, following Plan C. Women on the Web is also an amazing organization. Shout Your Abortion is really, really incredible. You can get abortion pills. You can also get them and redistribute them in your community through their organization. They have amazing swag. They have such good swag, where it says will aid and abate an abortion. Oh my God, I mean, so many. I think that there's, some good work happening with some of the mainstream women's organizations. I don't want to, leave them out, but I will say that right now I'm very much in support and want to encourage the support of organizations that aren't kind of just accepting the, sort of patriarchal, or even just are just accepting the status quo. And I think that it's organizations that are trying to rebel against the system and figure more creative ways to answer to the system, to me, are much more important to follow. So even any abortion fund is really, really, again, every penny will go to helping a woman or a girl, right? A child who's being forced to give birth, that will go towards helping them with, you know, being able to pay for, again, whether it's the abortion pill or the procedure or travel for the procedure. It's still legal to travel to get an abortion. So that's important, again, for us to reiterate. You know, one thing that I'm, and I, you know, really trying to follow the, like, I don't want to give into this, like, no more coat hangers, right? Like, no blood, like, all that stuff from kind of the 70s is no longer the case. It's actually really important for us to, again, follow organizations and disseminate information of self-managed abortion. So self-managed abortion is basically taking an abortion pill and doing it at home, right? Yes, this is horrible what's happening, that they're stripping, you know, women of rights that they, you know, had in, were you know, won in the 70s, but it's not the 70s anymore. And so in a way, you know, we have way more information than we did then. We have way more technology. Science has, you know, obviously been so advanced, but then at the same time, we also have way more surveillance. Right. So in the 1970s, you could do a lot more with a lot less people knowing and seeing. And so that's kind of the bind. And then in terms of reading, I mean, so many things. I have my books in front of me. Like, Pleasure Activism is a really fun book. It's not necessarily focused on, you know, reproductive rights. It's kind of just about activism in general. But as the title says, and it's Adrienne Maree Brown, who is a great Instagram follow, just the best Instagram content. And it's really just about how to be an activist and actually have fun being an activist. And I think that it just, again, it makes us more creative. It, you know, like, have fun doing it, you know, because also that's what they don't want us. They don't want us to have fun. They don't want us to be happy. And then I'm reading this other book. Do I have it here? Oh, well, I love this book. It might not be totally related, but it's literally my favorite book of the year. And it's called Mothers, an essay on love and cruelty. And it's Jacqueline Rose. And it's just so good. It doesn't focus necessarily just on reproductive rights, but it focuses on mothers and how we treat mothers. And just that, basically, like, oh my God, I have to read this, like, my favorite quote from it. So basically, she basically is making the point that, you know, motherhood in its Western discourse, the place in our culture where we lodge, or rather bury, the reality of our own conflicts, of what it means to be fully human. It is the ultimate scapegoat for our personal and political failings, for everything that is wrong with the world, which it becomes the task, unrealizable, of course, of mothers to repair. Chills. I just, you know, that basically we kind of blame everything on mothers, and then we expect mothers to fix all of these social ills. And obviously we're forcing women to become mothers right now. So it is very connected. And then, okay, there's this, last one. This book is coming out in September. And it's basically called the Bonobo Sisterhood. And it's basically about how we can achieve a revolution through female alliance. And it's based on monkeys, like the bonobo, am I saying it right? Bonobo. Female bonobos. Bonobos? No, is it bonobos or bonobo? The female bonobo. Anyway, someone will correct us. And so basically they have overcome their own, like, you know, sort of oppression within their species through building alliances with other females. So it's super fascinating. And again, just a good tool to think about, because it's like, yeah, you could just read about abortion, read about, you know, all the laws, but it's also important to kind of take a step back and look at things from a broader kind of perspective. And again, from an animal kingdom perspective, from a nature perspective. So sorry, you asked me for books and I just didn't went on. It's like a monologue. I just love.
The comments are enjoying this too. And I think what an interesting reminder. Well, first of all, that this is these are global issues.
Yes.
The global world, we have access to information, but I love your focus on creativity and sort of fun, because, you know, those concepts aren't often fit together in the same sense. You're pushing the boundaries in that way too, because it's defying the way that we are meant to be processing or, you know. for this. And I think that's so beautiful. And I'll be watching this back again to take all the notes, but thank you so much for sharing that. And
yeah,
I'm going to pivot a little bit because I'm really curious to talk about some of your current projects, and one in particular, the Not So Special film project, in which you're focusing on next generation of disability rights activists. Tell us about that.
So today actually is the 1 year, well, not the 1 year, it's the 22nd year anniversary of the wait, it's 2023? No, it's 2022, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you know, there's too much data in here. 2022, so it's the 22nd anniversary of the ADA. And the ADA is the Americans with Disabilities Act, which essentially, you know, guarantees, human rights to people with disabilities and guarantees access, basically, and freedom from discrimination. And honestly, that we started the film a year ago at an anniversary, like at a, you know, sort of protest rally around, so today's weirdly like the 1 year anniversary of us starting the film. So thank you for asking about it. And yeah, it's a film that, just like any creative endeavor, as I'm sure everyone here who, everyone's a creative, I think everyone's an artist in their way. And, but as with any creative endeavor, it always ends up shaping itself into something different than you sort of thought it would be. It's kind of like having a baby. Like, you're like, oh, like, I mean, I've never had a baby, but I would think you would think all these things about what they're going to be like, or how is it going to feel, and what they're going to do in the world. But then they end up, right, like becoming their own person. And actually your job, I think, is to facilitate that child or whatever creative entity to actually become what it's meant to be. So with the film, at the beginning, we were really focusing on this law called, well, it's not a law, it's a concept that's called the sub-minimum wage. Do you know what that is?
I've heard of it, but...
You've heard of it. So basically, it's that it's completely legal currently in the United States to pay people with disabilities less than a minimum wage. So there are people, literally thousands of people with disabilities being paid 10 cents an hour, 15 cents an hour, $1 an hour for their work. And it's a direct violation of the ADA, but somehow it still kind of exists. And there's so many things that are actually violations of the ADA that we don't realize. Like, a really simple one is that, you know, because of the ADA, every building has to be accessible to a person who has mobility issues or who has a disability. Is every building accessible? Of course not. In New York City, are you kidding me? I lived on a 6th floor walk up. There was no, like, half of the subway stations don't even have elevators. So, you know, and it's all over the world. It's like that. But particularly in the States, you would think, okay, well, there's this law. Why aren't things, you know, not accessible? It's because in order to exercise your right, basically, that is guaranteed by the ADA, you need to be able to sue. So if you can't get into a bar, you have to sue the bar in order for them to put, you know, an entrance that would be accessible. Do you know who doesn't have the time or money? Like, most people, but particularly people who have disabilities in the United States, particularly, who are already discriminated against in terms of employment, in terms of receiving benefits. So, you know, they're far more likely to live in poverty, but then also expected to, you know, shell out cash to do these lawsuits. So that's just like one little sliver of what sort of the film has expanded to sort of become. And look at the, you know, one other thing that's people don't always realize is it's, you know, people with disabilities don't actually have access to marriage. So, like, because if they marry, they lose their benefits. And so a lot of people with disabilities literally don't have the right to marry. They are living and, you know, and cohabitating, but they don't have access to not just the dignity of getting married and, you know, sharing in that symbolic and important milestone, but also all of the tax credits, all of the different, you know, advantages that you get as a married couple. So there's so many things that just, you know, as much as the ADA was incredible when it was passed, and it was so crucial and made such a difference, it was like supposed to be kind of the floor, but it became, or sorry, no, it was supposed to be the, no, yeah, it was supposed to be the ceiling, but it became the floor. It became like kind of the bare minimum, but we need to do so much more in order to guarantee that people with disabilities have you know, equal civil rights. And the film is kind of an exploration of all of these different things. But it won't be a bummer. It won't be bummer. It will be fun because pleasure activism, we will have fun while talking about discrimination and violation of human rights. Because, yeah, even for this, I think there's, you know, the kind of point of the film is to show just the untapped potential of people with disabilities, right? Like if you don't allow, you know, people with disabilities to freely work, to freely marry, to freely be and live full lives, you're just losing out as a society, because all of those talents, all of the, you know, it's just, we're like shortchanging people with disabilities, but we're also shortchanging ourselves.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So when does that come out?
Oh God. I mean, it's, I want to say, I should really not, even my producer would kill me, but I hope we'll be in, it takes a long time. A documentary is, I mean, I didn't realize, you know, writing a book was really hard, and I was like, oh God, this is so much more work. And documentary is just, again, not to discourage anyone, I'm so happy I'm doing it, but it's just a ton of work. So we'll probably be done maybe next year. Maybe we'll be ready to, like, you know, but it'll at least be one more year. But I love that you're talking about it, and everyone can follow our journey on our Instagram account.
We will
not so special. Yeah.
The shape that this takes, and sure to be really, really powerful and just so meaningful culturally too. I think we need these stories. We need to hear them.
Yeah.
Before we're out of time, which we might already be, I do want to talk about your BonLook collection entitled All, and I wrote down because the tagline is frames that let the wearer be exactly who they want to be.
Yeah.
That is so cool. So tell us about the inspiration for the design and how it came together.
Well, I just love weird designs. Essentially, I feel like every time I call BonLook, I'm like, hey guys, can we do this like weird thing that I really like? And like, I'm sure everyone will like a purple and pink, like leopard, you know, and they're like, okay, let's calm down. Like I wanted these to be like hot purple, and they were like, okay, we'll do them with like a shade, like they're kind of purplish. But they were like, relax. And so but I'm also so grateful that BonLook is always game to receive and to work with my craziest ideas. And yeah, I basically had a pair that was similar to these when I was studying at McGill when I was in college, and I broke them because I've broken every single pair. I don't know about you, Tessa, but I break every single pair of glasses ever. Like, I don't know how they always end up under my butt in some, like either like on the sofa, like in a crack on my bed, and then I end up like lying on them and being like, Jesus. So I'd broken them, and I just was, you know, wanted to see if we could create a new one, and sort of, you know, that was inspired by that. And then, yeah, Kid MNS says, reminds me of Gloria Steinem, which is very fitting, which is so sweet. I do have an affinity for aviators, I think, for that reason. There's like a certain, sort of inspiration or reminder of, you know, feminists in the 1960s and 70s and what they fought for. And also like what they didn't see happen, right? Like it's kind of crucial to remember, coming back to your first question, you know, that it feels like we're putting in all this effort and we're trying to change the world, and it's like not working, right? Or we're going backwards instead of forwards. But that's always how history has worked. That's always how activism has worked. There, you know, some of the biggest activists of our time never saw the fruits of their labor, right? So it's like really trusting that that we're carrying something forward that maybe we'll never really be able to see the rewards and see the big change that we've made, but like it is making a difference. So yeah, love aviators. I have them in brown too. I realize I should have planned this better. I've just been traveling so much. I don't know where the brown ones are, but they come in also. We have like sunglasses, which I love. They're so great. And they're very snug. I don't know if anyone is like a sporty like you, but I love like glasses kind of when I can do a workout with glasses, you know, and I can do push-ups, I can dance, I can do a dance party. They're like very, very, and they're very kind of, they're on the, like sont étroites, you know, so they're narrow. So sometimes aviators can be very, like, I couldn't find really a pair. Every time I would go into a store, I was looking for this pair of glasses that I once loved, and they're always big or like kind of made for man faces. And, you know, not that they're not more narrow male faces out there, but they were always kind of too big. And these are really kind of feminine and small and just snug and cute. And again, it's just like, they're a little weird, and that's a good thing. You know, it's just like embracing that.
I can withstand an impromptu dance party too.
That should be our next live. You should give us a work. Do you do workouts? Do you do them or no?
Not really.
You keep that personal. Got it.
Like, I don't even work out myself anymore, but I'm at some point, I think. It just depends long, and I needed to not feel like an athlete for a little bit, but
I get that. How do you make that transition? Like, what was like really useful for you in terms of, because it was your entire identity that had to be kind of adjusted.
Yes, although I think it was healthy because I never really identified myself as only a skater, so I think
smart.
It helped. It helped that I had accomplished what I wanted in sport, but I also just needed to set myself up to have little manageable goals to pursue. And I'm still trying to set myself up for that, because that's the system I know how to operate within is goal. I can work towards it and I feel a sense of accomplishment and I move on to the next goal. So I'm really strategic about how I structure my time and what I chase. But yeah, it's been, you know, difficult, but everyone is going through or has gone through time of transition. And so I certainly don't feel like I'm alone.
That's great. I mean, it's wonderful that you always identified as you, right? And as so much more than what you were doing, which I think is so rare just in general, but also for athletes, because it's it's how people, it's like what people want from you, you know, and then you feel like you need to feed the beast, right? And then you can lose a part of yourself, but that's wonderful that you didn't.
Thank you. And thanks for asking. This was so lovely. I've learned so much, and it's just always a pleasure to be in your orbit. So thank you for your time and your energy. I love the glasses.
Thank you.
More importantly, I love all of the work you're doing. And just know that you have a lot of support, a lot of cheerleaders in your corner, and we wish you all the very best.
Thank you so much. You're so wonderful. Such great questions. I know you're still figuring out the transition, but you could totally be like an amazing talk show host. I feel really, really lucky I got to spend time with you too. You're such an angelic presence. And thank you to everybody for like great comments and, you know, sticking with my crazy book essay.
We have a book club. We're all set. And thanks for having us, and we'll chat soon.
Yes. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye, Liz.
See ya.